Welcome back to One More K, or maybe we should rather call it today One More Rant show. Let's see where this takes us. Hey, Ned, good morning.
That's okay. To be fair, I can rant. I'll accept that. Right. I was going to push back, but I shall not. There's plenty of things to rant about. Maybe why don't we call it intellectual debate, discussion?
Sure. We intellectually debate strongly on strong opinions, and we'll have the listeners or viewers digest it however I like it. Yeah, but I
So
have a feeling, which I actually don't mind, honestly. I mean, I'm from Germany. We're all very straightforward in Germany, but straightforward also means being rude sometimes. But it's still good to share what we think.
the phrase I like: strong opinions loosely held. I think it's very
Yes,
important to have strong opinions, but if you have strong opinions strongly held, you don't learn. And I must admit, I spent a lot of my life having strong opinions strongly held, no matter what, and that doesn't really help because all you're doing is an echo chamber of your own thoughts.
that's true.
I really like strong opinions, but they have to be loosely held because if there's facts that change, somebody comes up with facts that you didn't previously know, or a fact you knew but it wasn't articulated in a way that made sense to you. Once it does,
Yeah,
then you can totally find to change your stance, right?
that's right. I mean, I this industry feels like it's full of love and harmony. So maybe we are the guys who poke the balloons a bit, the love balloons. I just read a post on LinkedIn, by the way. Last week was, of course, the famous and big the running event in Texas, which I attended last year, not this year. And I saw a post from someone, actually someone who will be on the show, most likely soon. And he said, well, it's always amazing how you go to a running event and you don't just shake hands, you give each other hugs, which is very different to tech conferences he's been to and whatnot, where you just shake hands and you give a nod and you forget. But the running event is all about giving hugs. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's true.
That's
It is true. I mean, that's what we're doing. But maybe we are here to again poke the love balloon. You know.
um, but that's a really good little soundbite. I've if, for example, let's say me and you weren't doing this podcast, but we know each other well enough. If we met at a tug event, a tech event, we'd give each other a hug, right? Because we know well enough. But people I didn't know well enough, I would never give them a hug. But it's an interesting point, right? It's full of love and good vibes and stuff. But you can, like. The love isn't universal, right? Like for example, listen to Michael Versteeg on Single Track. He certainly doesn't want to be hugging Hoka, right? Like his rant about the Hoka pylons, ski lifts with Hoka draped around them. But in general, I think it's a good point. Our industry is still. I mean, is our industry small? I have no idea.
I
Our
think so.
industry is
I think so.
still.
But it's growing.
So,
But I mean, anything happened on your radar regarding the running event? Just making sure that we capture that very important industry event happening in all the way in Howdy, Texas.
yeah, but I think there's America and there's the rest of the world, right? I think anybody
Oh,
outside
oh,
America has never. I know it's hard. You're American now, so you forget about the rest of the
excuse
world.
me. That's almost an
Uh,
insult. Yeah.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate it. No, I didn't even know it was on. I did not know the running event was on. I had not followed it. Obviously, I'm not technically in the industry. I know it's a huge thing. Um, so I don't have any views. But you went last year. You didn't go this year. Why didn't you go? What's your thoughts? Any
Well,
feedback?
I didn't go because I have a newborn and I didn't want to leave again. I mean, I had a choice between crewing you at the backyard or going to a running event, and of course, I went
Let's
to see
go.
you. I
Let's
mean, it's more
go.
important.
Good job.
Love is
Good
more
choice.
important than
Good
industry.
choice.
No, but I think there are two big events in our industry, which is a running event in Texas, and the other one is called ISPO in Munich. So these are the two large conferences. I'm not aware of anyone in Asia so far, but ISPO in Munich, and then the one in Texas, but ISPO Munich is more functional. It's more outdoor, and the running event literally is just running, and it's like, yeah, it's just like this major masturbation of brands of say, hey, you know what, we're the best ever. But what I heard was it was good energies, most growth ever, a lot of new brands coming out, especially in the shoe sector. Of course, a lot of athletes actually were flown in as well. So I saw a lot of athletes also attending, which I didn't see last year. So Dakota Jones, Alyssa Clark, we mentioned her last week, they all went to the running event. And basically, the brands pay now, of course, a lot of money for them to talk about why they're using the shoes, or especially the shoes. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a sign of growth. I don't know how long the running event's been there. And just to check, Marcus, the running event is everything: road, track, trail, ultra, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it used to be mostly road running, but I think trail is now really taking on as well. But track, not so much. I didn't see any track stuff. It's mostly road and now trail.
Okay, so here's an interesting. Okay, so thank you for the update on the running event. Makes sense. Now we're kind of splintering off a little bit. Did you sit? Where does track hang out? Right? Is track cool anymore? And I don't know if you saw the Michael Johnson sponsored league, which seems to have fallen quite afoul and seems to have kind of disintegrated. They paid big prize money for sponsored races, big razzmatazz. Do you think? And I know you ran track back in the day, so I think you were
Yeah,
800 meters or 1500.
yeah.
Is track relevant? I know it's relevant because it's Olympics, but do we just ignore it or what is it?
I think that it is coming, and I also follow the founder of Reddit, Alexis Ohanian, who is married to Serena or Venus Williams, one of the two Williams sisters.
Serena
Yeah,
Williams, I believe.
he has a daughter who's also into track, and he is the owner, I believe, or co-owner of a new athletic series where they make especially female athletics a thing. So they, for example, brought in steeplechase and other athletic distances into Times Square, I believe. So they brought it into the city in New York City. So I think that a bit like what happened maybe with Super Tri in the triathlon world, there is also this new idea of like Michael Johnson, when he failed, but others, Alexis Ohanian, for example, is trying to bring athletics more into the city, more into the crowds, make it more entertainment driven. Yeah. So whether track fits into this, I don't think necessarily, because track you have to literally have a track. But I think other type of disciplines, you might be able to put them into an airport, or in Singapore is also doing many things like this as well. I think it's coming back again. I think there was a bit of a low, but I do think there's more interest again.
So just to say, do you know what? So I agree. Making it entertaining. We've talked a lot about this. The brand, story worthy. Track, I think, doesn't quite have it. Do you know what Night of the 10,000 PBs is?
It sounds familiar, but no, I don't know the details.
Okay.
No.
So when I was more of a road runner, I would follow Marathon Talk, a good show that predated Talk Ultra, one of the early podcasts. And on there, it was kind of came out of there was a guy. So he thought track running was declining, like you said, Marcus, particularly the 10,000 meters. Because who's going to watch, me and you would watch a 28-minute 10K race because we're fanatics. But does Joe Public want to watch people running around the track? I don't think so. So he in the UK found there was no great track racing. No one would turn up. He did one simple thing. He put the crowd on the inside of the track, not the outside.
Oh, nice.
And he put the crowd on lane 3. So basically, inside the track, there was beer stalls and bands and everything, and there was no wires, there was no ropes. You were allowed to stand track. And in lane 3, there was crowds down the back straight. But basically, you were in the event, and you should see what happened. It
Wow.
exploded.
Wow.
It was cool. And I think, like you say, Alexis Ohanian from Reddit, bringing people, like the Golden City Mile, running down, Fifth Avenue or whatever. I think the in modern times, the setup of track isn't conducive to just pure TV, watching people going round and round, right? Unless it's literally the Olympics. So you're right. They've got to find ways to make that happen, whether it's, Alexis or Night of the 10,000 PBs. Because let's face it, some of the great trail runners come out of track, right? More and more, we can talk about Hans Troyer. He comes from track, comes in and dominates. A lot of these guys are track guys because there's money now. They never moved up because there was no money. Now there's
Yeah,
money.
yeah,
If somebody's
yeah.
running a 27-minute 10K and they're coming across to a fast 50K or a fast 100, it's game on, right?
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about fast times. We had a triathlete crushing it over the marathon distance, and we had a trail runner, a very famous one, crushing over the marathon distance too. So what happened over the weekend, Ned?
Well, you're going to have to inform me on the trail runner because I don't. Oh, of course, Courtney, 238, CIM, of course. What am I thinking? So, guys, just to say, I know we're not a triathlon show. I did triathlon quite a bit. Alex Yee, he won gold medal for Britain. Britain's got a big history, obviously, of triathlon with the Brownlees, etc. Alex Yee won gold. Amazing young man. and he's still a triathlete, Marcus. He's still training swim, bike, run. He's not a marathon runner. He'd ran London 2:11, not bad. This is about 9 months ago in April. This weekend in Valencia, which admittedly one of the fastest courses there is, 2:06:38. Second fastest time ever by a Brit behind Mo Farah. You ready for this? He was 17th at the 3K mark to go. He closed from 17th down to 7th. He ran, you should see his splits. 15:05 for the 5K, 15:05, 15:05, 15:04, 15:05. Last 5K, 14:49.
Jesus Christ.
Closed it in 14:49, and 8th, 9th, and 10th were 10 seconds behind him. Like, this dude closed like a killer. Guys, I know we're in the era of 2:02, 2:03 marathons. 2:06:38 for let's face it, he's the world's best part-time marathoner. Like, full stop.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. It's amazing how people just do marathons. I mean, again, coming to Courtney, of course, again, we all know what's going on, and she's done a 2:38 here, actually not far from here, in Sacramento, which is 1 hour from here. But she's so excited by it. I think I love how she's excited by it. She wrote afterwards she's going to do it again, and it was a great lesson learned. Like, everyone is doing marathon these days. It's whether it's a ex-Bayern Munich football stars, or it's triathletes or trail runners. It's just like marathon is a thing. Huh?
It's cool again. Couple of points. Did you see the photo of Courtney in the middle of the pack? They're all wearing their marathon, attire, and Courtney's wearing what they called her short knees, right? Courtney's wearing her short knees, right? That was such a great picture.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, when she was so embraced by everyone, it was amazing. That's good.
It was so. Just to say, as we're an Asian show, I'm not sure if you saw. So you're talking everything in marathon. So who is the GOAT of marathon? Eliud Kipchoge, of course. I don't know if you saw where he was at the weekend. He ran the Bangkok half marathon with the Queen of Thailand, and he paced it to a 2:01, 2:03. I don't want to misrepresent the Queen's times, because we're all respectful of the royal family, particularly in Thailand. But I think she ran 2:01, 2:03, and Eliud ran with her. And, I mean, the reception, like, it was big news. And, me and you, Marcus, have lived in Asia long to know that running is relatively new here. It's not like entrenched like it is in America. And to see the Queen of Thailand running with Eliud, super cool.
Yeah, I mean, money goes far, and especially Thailand is investing a lot into running, right? They had this Chiang Mai UTMB as well, which also looked pretty phenomenal. And I know that Chiang Mai must pay a lot of money to UTMB to host it, and that's always been talked about, and it's clear. And then, the half marathon in Bangkok is also what an event. And yeah, I mean, I think Eliud Kipchoge was just like paraded around. I mean, so many things I saw online. The media presence, it was just insane. Well done, Thailand, honestly. Yeah.
Honestly, well done. So, quick question. I know we're kind of rambling today. Do you think Eliud comes? I mean, look, let's face it. He's done with marathon. He said he's done. He's done. Do you think Eliud comes to ultra or trail?
No, I don't think so. I think Eliud just signed a deal with Netflix, right? Did you see that as well?
I didn't see.
He's getting $13.6 million from Netflix for a docu series, which I believe are 6 or 7 episodes. And
what
he is going to donate most of the money, which people really say is great. It was very amazing. But yeah, Netflix just signed him on for the docu series.
So, oh my God, what a wow! 13.6 million, right? What, for a runner? Now, not just a runner, the runner. Not just but wonderful. Africa's been through some difficult times with distance running. A lot of drug scandal type of stuff. But also, I'm sure you're aware, Kelvin Kipton and long ago Sammy Wanjiro, 2 young greats, both died. We shouldn't speculate too much, but the media was, young guys given millions of dollars go off the rails a bit. Both were either in speeding cars or drunken type of things. For Sammy, good to see that Eliud is setting the beacon of and getting 13.6. Good. Yeah. Wow, I did not see that. Right?
But again, also what it means then for Netflix, who I don't know has 300 million subscribers, all of them are going to see marathon running, and it's just The reach of marathon running is insane.
Well, they're about to buy Paramount for $72 billion, so their reach is about to be a little higher, unless they've got a counter bid, I know.
A very strong counter bid with very well connected counter bid. Yeah. So let's see how this goes.
I did notice that it wasn't just the money; it was the people in there. Like, is what it is.
Yeah. But all of this summarized means a lot of people are doing marathons. I think that's kind of the topic of today's show: is what happens if there are too many people doing it, and we have now several occasions with issues in marathons. I mean, I did a bit of research actually into this topic, and if you just Google marathon complaints and Google and then click on news, you see pretty much every other week, a news article coming out. Oh, this marathon didn't go well, whether it's in the Philippines or in Australia or in Canada or in, it doesn't matter. Bristol was one, and there's always an issue with water. There's issue with, of course, the waste. So a lot of people are complaining now about hundreds of gel packages laying on the floor in parks, and not everyone picks them up afterwards. So there's that issue. You have the Koreans, which just had an article brought out that Korean businesses and residents are complaining about the too many races are happening, and so too many times the streets are blocked, and you can't drive through, and this actually hinders the peaceful life in a city, whether it's business or residential life. So, and then Singapore just now, you mentioned, had also a bit issues there, right, Ned? What Singapore Marathon over the weekend?
It's a complex topic. And the reason we bring it up on our Ultra Trail show, because we're also a business show, is that, is this going to come to trail, right? Are we heading for a world where we have 60,000 people at UTMB? Obviously not, right? But already, when I heard Tim Tollefson comment that he was lucky because his UTMB experience is running in the mountains by himself because he's at the front. He said for most others, it's a 40-hour conga line, right, through the trails, which we don't want. City marathons have exploded. And, just again, I love Singapore. I'm from Singapore. I've represented Singapore with all my love to Singapore. But the marathon has been plagued by numerous problems. The organization. So just this weekend, many people, even I saw numerous comments that at the start took a long time. That's accepted. So many major marathons take a long time at the start. The half marathoners were faced with a wall of people with 3K to go, where you had to stop and walk again. Like there was walls of people that you had to stop and walk with 3K to go. And for a lot of it, you were dodging. But literally, like Derek Lau, who is one of Singapore's, he did backyard, proper runner. He was running it slower with a team of people. He actually wrote that from 3K to go, there was numerous occasions he had to walk. And then when they finished, they were put into a pen to get water and a banana. And they were kept in the pen for up to 45 minutes because they were only allowed out of one gate to get water and banana. Now, Markus, you've lived in Singapore. If you've run in Singapore and you're hot and then you're waiting, so people, I'm not going to say people were fainting like it was a mass calamity, some people, but I think it's pretty obvious for most of us in Singapore. You finish a marathon, you don't want to be standing with thousands of other people in the heat waiting 45 minutes for your water. So yeah, it was in the papers, it was on Insta, it was my friend sent it. Now, is what you're saying is it's not isolated, right? That's not an isolated
Correct.
case.
I was like, hey, because anecdotes are always anecdotes, and who knows how much what it means. So, but yeah, I did some brief Google search, and actually, it's very, very common, and it's more common than we think. It is happening across the board. I mean, I have no data on this. I don't know any percentage or number of marathons that have bad aid stations or bad planning, but I think it is very common, and it seems to be covered quite frequently now.
So you did allow me a rant, so please allow, and then you can comment because you are the sensible of this partnership. You are a man of more sense than I. So I'm probably going to get crapped on for this, but Singapore Marathon's owned by Ironman, right? And with all my love for Ironman, it's a money-making machine, right? My rant is, maybe it's not a rant, maybe it's just a question. Like, what are we optimizing for here, right? 60,000 people on the streets of Singapore doesn't work. Now, Western states in America has been clear, right? Now, partly because of the State Land Act, I don't know the name correctly, but the rules, it's only 357, right? Or whatever the number is. Same with Hard Rock. Laz only has 70 because whatever, it's his choice. Same at Berkeley, right? do cities, like what I'm ranting about is, are we just on this rampant money chase? So I ended up sending a comment to my friend today that, like, Singapore sucks. I'm like, dude, you're signing up for a private equity event. Or not private equity. It used to be private equity. Now it's owned by a big conglomerate. You're signing up for a corporate event. Are we just going to have to face facts that corporate events and running events don't match?
So let's look at two numbers here. First number is, when we take a guess, how much money does Singapore make from this event in terms of tourism and income as a city?
I don't know the answer. Entry fees, 10 million maybe. In terms of how many people travel to Singapore, I think not many, because it's, while it wants to be a major, with my humble and love for Singapore, I don't think it ever will. How many people travel? I don't think it's large on the scale for Singapore. It's mainly Singapore.
So the number that I found online is 36 million Singapore dollars the city makes from this event. Of course, this is nothing for Singapore, and nothing compared to, say, Formula One, but still is something. I mean, it is something, right? And I was surprised how high it actually is. It's like, oh, this is actually more than I thought, right? And if you just extrapolate this to like other cities, and you have, Singapore also, you has not just one marathon, you have other events too. It's actually a pretty decent income source, such sport events for cities. So there's a interest that to host those events, and it's maybe conflicted with public interest, where, like, hey, my roads are blocked, or hey, my business has to be closed again because I have some runners crossing by. So it is a financial conversation. And the second number that is, of course, how much does Ironman make? And we don't have the number, of course, but it's more like, hey, at what point does private equity investor, care about the margins more than about the well-being of the runners? And that is just, that's the natural how it works, whether it's in sports or education or in healthcare. Always, when it comes down to those critical human needs, it's always a tough question if private equity is involved there. But yeah, that's, I think, to the first point, I do think cities are loving this because they do make a lot of money from this on a grand scale of things.
Absolutely. So the New York Marathon started in 1970 something by a guy called Ted Corbett. And from my understanding, at the beginning, it was fraught with challenges. People didn't want to close the roads, the same thing. Now, this is 40 years later. The Singapore Marathon technically started in 1980 something, but it didn't have the same history. It didn't catch on in the same way. It's not been a classic. Maybe it just takes a lot of time for it to get there. I am surprised by 36 million. That seems a lot for Singapore. I mean, I must admit, I seem surprised. So the question rolls along: how soon, if you Googled complaints about trail running on ultra running events being overcrowded, I wonder what level we're at.
So I think that's, in general, we also have to be careful here, trying to bring some sense to this. I do think there always are issues with trail running events. I ran some tiny, small events, whether it's in Asia or in Europe, and there always are issues. I mean, there always are issues, whether it's small, big event. But now, if more events are happening or more people go to events, their issues are covered more. Where maybe before the event had only 200 people, so maybe only 2 or 3 people filmed the bad aid station. Now you have 3,000 and you have 200 people filming that. So, the algorithm on Instagram and whatnot, they're picking it up more. So I do think that issues always has been there, but just because there are more people covering it, there's also more exposure online about it. I'm not sure that's a question of who owns it or how big it is. It's just that it's now more covered by people.
So we've all seen the famous picture of the queue on top of Everest, right?
Yeah,
that one picture that went viral of people who've paid $60,000 to be Sherpa'd up Everest. I'm sure not all of them were, but you're right. The impact of that single picture of people queued above the Hillary step up to the top kind of was like, oh, mountaineering sucks. Well, mountaineering doesn't suck, right? And Everest doesn't suck, and not everybody on Everest experiences that, right? But as you correctly say, many years ago, you wouldn't see any of that. Maybe there were queues before. You're right, but I do think these. I started to see. Honestly, I'm not trying to crap on UTMB. Obviously, it's the most popular one, but you do see conga lines kind of later on within it, right? And the American events, and you're in America, they seem to have more restrictions, which I think is good. Of course, the downside is how does smaller events survive, right? Aravaipa, Jamil just puts on a lot of events, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, but I do think that's also luckily a free market, and the market is a market. You know, both you and I love markets, and consumers will eventually navigate to better products. And if they maybe have done one event that wasn't good, and they say, "I will never do this again." I mean, I had people saying online, "I will never do Singapore again." You know, and okay, then that's it. And then they need to improve, and they maybe feel the impact the next few years when less people sign up, or other trail running events, same. And then you go to products and events that are better.
The only thing I'll push back on that is Iron Man, when it did go to private equity, became famous for the one and done, right? Get people in, they do one, they never come back. And there's enough one and doneers out there who want to do a marathon that it doesn't really matter. You can crowd a marathon, make more money, the one and done, it's fine. Like, don't now whether they are doing that, I'm sure Iron Man wouldn't admit to that, but there was an era called the one and done era, right? Because they're not coming back. They only wanted to do it, so they had it like a little.
Yeah.
I've done it, which is great, and they don't know. Like, for example, one of my friends who did Singapore, she was like, "Oh wow, yeah." I was like, "How do you enjoy it?" I was all right. She said, "Yeah, I queued for about half an hour at the end, and I had to walk." I'm like, "That's terrible." They're like, "Is it?" Like, they haven't done anything else. It's her
Right.
first race. She didn't know
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
She was like, "Is that bad?" I'm like, "Yes, it's
Mm,
terrible."
mm,
But, so you could probably, now, of course, is
mm.
it a long-term business plan to sell a shitty product to as many people as you can and run out of an audience? That's not a business plan.
Yeah, I
But
know. Yeah. It works for, I mean, again, yeah, it maybe lasts for a few years because we're talking very long sales cycles here, you know, and there's not like you have immediate feedback. It takes 1 year to train and to do it, and then you maybe do one more year. So you will only see this next 3, 4 years. If there's a dilution, then it happens in 3, 4 years.
I,
Yeah.
I guarantee you Singapore sells out again next year.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
For
yeah,
sure, for sure, it
yeah.
sells out. But where does our sport go from a competition point of view? Hey, look, as you know, I'll try not to talk about backyard every episode, but just for 1 second, the Sydney Backyard Ultra last year had 600 people, and it looked, honestly, like it looked to my humble eye, 600 people in a backyard, because here's reality. Like, you got to get round. And if there's any bottleneck on that trail,
Yeah, yeah.
like you're now changing your pace to be, me, I'm a slower runner. I would always set off at the back. What am I going to set off at the back of 600 people and get stuck in
Yeah.
a line? So it's coming. It's
But
coming
I mean,
everywhere,
on the
right?
other side is, what would you prefer? Government stepping in and saying, we're going to regulate all of this. You know, we're going to regulate aid stations. We're going to regulate how many runners. I mean, that's the other option, right? And I mean, me as a free market guy, I'm like, no, I don't want this. I'd rather
No,
have the market
no.
decide.
100, Marcus, 100%. I get it. Hey, growing pains are not just for teenagers. Growing pains are for businesses, right?
Oh yeah,
Our ultra running is a teenage. I don't know how old it is, but it is. It's not a fully grown sport, right? And even running is not a fully grown sport. We are going through our growing pains. Hey, look, two amazing British performances this weekend, right? Alex, I'm sure there's many, but Alex Yee and Lando Norris, right? F1's been around since the 50s, right? It's been through its ups and downs. It's like, it is a well-oiled machine. Of course, it doesn't have mass participation. I get it. But just to say, that's taken 50 years to get right, right? From their media and perspective and whatever and blah, blah, blah. We have a long way to go in our sport. And there's many, many, many good things about it. But yeah, we're in the era of money coming.
yeah, yeah,
And there will be choices made that will be not right. Hey, if we were young runners, well, you are still young. If we're young runners and somebody came around and offered X, Y, Z to us or whatever, hello, money talks, right?
yeah, yeah. Oh, for sure, that's for sure. I mean, just on the Formula One thing, I forgot to mention earlier, the deal with Netflix and Warner Brothers is actually interesting for us as well, because maybe remember that Warner Brothers has signed the deal with Salomon's Golden Trail series. So given there's a transaction going on right now, it might be owned by Netflix, and then Netflix can decide if they actually want to keep it or dismiss it, right? Because it would be in their hands, or whoever the next owner might be, whether it's Paramount or whether it's Netflix. But yeah, anyway, there's also a bit of an entertainment piece there that is interesting with as part of this deal. So not it should be watched.
So just completely agree. Complete side. I think I mentioned this to you, or I have. There is a Salomon running shop in the Singapore departure airport. Isn't
Mm,
that wild? Like,
mm, didn't
selling
know that.
trail running gear,
Yeah,
fashion, Salomon fashion, but they're selling trail running shoes, poles, stuff in it. in the departure of Singapore Airport. Like, what? Salomon? Really?
Isn't that the joke always that if you see a trail runner very fancily dressed in Asian trail races, must be Singaporean? I know where they get the stuff from now.
They're paid. Again, I love you, Singapore. I love you. I love you. I love you. You know, in the phrase of adventure, all the gear, no idea. Always trust the mountaineer with a frayed rope, a dirty backpack, and wearing old shoes. Don't trust the person with the new gear out of the Salomon shop, right?
So let's.
That's the rule, right?
I want to. We just talked about, I guess, growth as a barrier of growth in the sense for our sport. But I also want to pick up something I said last week is nature, because I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. I've done no research on this, so it's unfortunately a bit of a topic out of the blue, but we'll do research on this next time. But I think I want to hear your thoughts on how will nature limit what we are doing right now.
It was really interesting. I think Alex said that last week, or you mentioned it last week as well. I actually thought about that a little bit afterwards. I'm not sure. I think it limits us when we have iconic routes. So again, UTMB, Lap of the Mountain, etc. Right? Too many people on the trails is limited. But I'm interested because I don't see how it limits us. I don't think we're ever going to have enough runners out there. Sure, city, but city's not nature. So big city marathons limited by city space, but nature space. Maybe I'll ask you. I'll put it back to you because honestly, I don't see it. I don't see why nature would limit us. I really don't. In what way?
I think nature will make us adjust it. So there is a component about nature is always more powerful. I believe this. I mean, nature is ultimate, and we are submissive to nature. Nature will force us to rethink where do we race, when do we race, how do we race in trail running in particular. And humans on the other side are always so smart to adjust. Either we adjust ourselves or we are asked to adjust. It depends, who you ask. But I think that's where, and in Vietnam, for example, like certain parts in Vietnam, you can't anymore trail race in certain parts of the year because it's too rainy, right? So you can't do this anymore. So you need to find other spots in Vietnam and you need to find other times of the year. Will this happen more outside of Vietnam? For sure. I mean, China had some issues and so on and so on. The Alps have also more extreme weather situations now where you need to be a bit more careful. I do think that some of the courses we have this year right now will not anymore exist in the next 5 years' time. I think there will be change. I do think that it takes 1 or 2 or 3 bad events with more casualties, and then then it will be closed down, and people have to find new courses. So I think, let me make a wide guess. I think 2 to 3% of current courses will not exist anymore in 5 years' time because of nature.
So what you mean is, it's not that there's not enough space out there. We've got plenty of space. It's that the courses we want to run on, not bad things, but things will happen that will force either regulation or the race to close.
Right. Which is, I mean, it's actually not a bad thing. If you think about it from a runner's perspective, it's good to have a new course and it's good to see something new. Keeps race organizers also on their toes, keeps also countries on their toes. I mean, nothing is set in stone because we really are, like, unlike track where you have, football stadiums, you have it for hundreds of years and you can use it and it's fine, it's done. But trail running, it has to change because of nature.
So I wonder if part of the change are these, like the rise of FKTs, different courses, different areas. Like for example, the Chipotle challenge. I know this seems really weird to go from nature to the Chipotle challenge, but I think people know Chipotle asked how many laps in front of a Chipotle. Jamil did like 700K in a month, backwards and forwards, but then everything up to Tara Dow doing the, FKTs elsewhere. Laz has got his great race across Tennessee. So I'm just thinking about this as we chat. There's the prescribed events that are too dangerous that shut, right? Like the event in China where unfortunately people passed away, or some events that are too dangerous. Like I look at some of those sky races. You look at some of the ridges these people are on the sky races. Like if you ever saw like the ridge that Hillary Allen fell off up in the sky race, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like it was a wild, wild thing. Now people go up there knowing, but there's so much nature. I wonder if we segregate into, this is just making this up, this is stupid, but I'm just going to say it because races that are safe in inverted commas and races that you you literally say, I get it. It's dangerous as shit. You know what Candice Burt says? Have you seen the start of her 200-mile races? She has a microphone. She says into the microphone at the start of, Tahoe and 200-mile races. She says on her microphone, if I die, and everyone has to repeat, if I die, it is my own goddamn fault. It is my own goddamn fault. I do this knowing it is dangerous. I do this knowing it is dangerous. There's nothing to do with Candice. Nothing to do with Candice. Go. And, I know that might not hold up in court, right? But I think we might be segregating into part of the sport that is prefabricated. Everything's fine and there's aid stations. It's all just nice. And, look, I don't want to sound like a douchebag. I have zero interest in running UTMB and prefab courses, right? I want to go, obviously, I like LAS type stuff, but these stuffs that are a bit more, what intrigues me deeply is the speed project, right? Go from LA to Vegas on your own, go. And somebody's going to get run over one day, for sure.
But I think that's a good point, because I was thinking we have always had extreme races like Marathon des Sables, or you did something Gobi Desert and Speed Project. But these are very small races where really crazy people like you go and do. I think that's it. What I'm thinking right now is, if like races like UTMB are opening up to the wider public, you're also bringing in people who are less experienced into more dangerous situations.
Sure.
So that's also, I think, is a major risk, that the understanding what a difficult race is changing, right? And they have a bigger mass that has maybe less understanding.
Great. Well, look, and one thing I would say, and look, again, not to be a douchebag, Marathon des Sables, like out there and extreme and dangerous? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, that's a prefab race today, right? That's just a prefab bucket ticking race. I'll get crapped on for this. Nothing against, much love to the race, but let's face it, right? That's not an out there race anymore. That's just a race.
Yep. Yeah. What is the out there race? What do you consider the most dangerous race in the world?
I mean, so dangerous, good question. There is the race across Europe from the top of Finland down to the bottom of Spain, right? There is this huge race that, it's 3,000 or 4,000 miles across Europe. That's really messed up, right? I think the most dangerous for physically, something like that, right? So maybe I'll give you three things. There's this race, top of Europe down to the bottom, go, pretty wild, right? The most dangerous route ever undertaken, I think, is Ryan Sands and Rhino Griesel's crossing of the Himalayas, the route 1,400 kilometers through the Himalayas. I mean, have you seen it? Like on the edge, it's called, or something? I mean, that was straight up. And Rhino looks into the camera and he's asked, is this worth dying for? And he looks straight back and says, yes. It was this wild, and he meant it. Like, this dude, and that so that's out there. The one that's most mentally damaging, I think, is the Sri Chinmoy. The 3,100-mile round, a 0.6-mile block in Harlem, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That needs a health warning, right? That changes your life. That changes your life, right? Like, you don't run from 6 a.m. till midnight for 60 days straight around the whole thing without your mind blowing up. So maybe it is a categorization, races that are for people and races for people willing to accept the risks, right? And we categorize it, right? And you literally sign a waiver. Like, this is going to damage my health. It's going to damage my mental. I could die. And I'm not glorifying either of them. But you're right. You don't want an in-between race that is, yay, anybody can come. And then they come and like, holy crap.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Where? How? Why? When? No, dude. Yeah. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, let's see. I think I'm very curious about this, because let's see where it goes. Yeah, who knows? But it's, I mean, I think the Badwater. Do you think the Badwater race here in Nevada is dangerous? The heat?
No, because cars everywhere. No, I don't. No.
So, it's fine.
Can bad things happen? Of course. Like, and I'm not trying to be like, oh.
Yeah.
But it's a prefab course with cars going along. You have a support crew. Crew. Like, you have a car with a support. Is it good for you running, 50 hours in the heat? Absolutely not.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Of course. And could you get run over? Absolutely. Is it more dangerous than watching Netflix? Absolutely. Right. But is it nature dangerous? I don't think so. What I think is nature dangerous, Marshall Ulrich went there and back, and on the way back, he did it without support. He went from, Death Valley up to the summit of Mount Whitney, turned around and went back on his own steam without a crew. That's dangerous, right? But that's his own choice, right? Like, I think the Speed Project's dangerous. Straight up, I think the speed. Now, not many people do it solo. You won't surprise you to hear I have my eyes to do it solo. I think crossing the desert. Have you driven yet to Vegas?
Yeah, I've done. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, out there,
Yeah.
solo, unsupported, on that desert, no water. That shit's dangerous.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it is. I guess our human spirit to always seek a dangerous, or not all of us, but some of us seek dangerous adventures.
Hey, climbing Everest is dangerous. There's no reason to climb Everest. That stuff is dangerous. Climbing Everest is dangerous. There's you're not gonna die, but you're putting yourself in a situation that doesn't make sense, right? Now, and here's the thing with ultra running: it gives you the ability to be adventuresome without real adventure. There's aid stations. There's a timing chip. Again, I'm not trying to denigrate it. It's amazing. It's great. We're having adventure. Yay! Come on, really? We're not really having adventure. We're doing an amazing thing, but how many of these are right out, straight out dangerous? Like, remember what's his name did? The gingerhead guy who ran across Africa,
like Giza.
the hardest Giza. That's dangerous.
Yeah. But these are like self-imposed, self-inflicted. I mean, they are like it's like individual influencer type projects. It's yeah.
I wonder what happens, Marcus, and I know we're starting to come up towards, we've been chatting and we had other things to chat about, but it's okay, this is good. I wonder what happens when an influencer runner dies. Everyone just shrugs and moves on. What happens if the geezer died crossing Africa? Would everybody be like, meh?
I mean, I think judging by people have been dying on live streams and stuff like this. I mean, we're not talking running influencers, we're talking other influencers who die on live streams. Nothing really changed, I think, in the universe. So I believe that if an influencer dies running, it's going to be also not the biggest outcry. I don't think so. Sadly enough, I mean, I'm not saying it's a sad thing, but I'm saying that it's like, yeah, okay, I think we're just used to entertainment now. We are used to entertainment that is even deadly, unfortunately.
Wild.
I mean, at what point can we distinguish a trail run versus Hunger Games, or like Squid Games, So I mean, it's just going to be on Netflix, and then you don't anymore what's real, what's not real.
I mean, look, I went to watch Stephen King's The Long Walk film. Didn't love it. Didn't think it was amazing, but in essence, walk 3 miles an hour or we shoot you. Right? It was pretty clear what it was saying. We like to watch lions eat gladiators, right? Or gladiators kill lions, right? It's just a human reality. Should we? No. But, why do we slow down and watch a car crash? We slow down because it's hardwired into our brain, right? And we can then move on because of social media. We can move on very quickly. You can see some pretty unpleasant things on social media and let's swipe it away, right? So they are going to get more extreme, and influencers will have to do more things, and our sport will get more dangerous. So I think nature will consume people because that's what nature does, right?
Yeah, for sure. If we push nature will answer. So either way, that's what it is. On the note of influencers, you sent me a LinkedIn post, I believe, from someone talking about influencer brands. Do you want to quickly talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, the idea was that influencers are not beholden to brand. They are the brand. So, in the good old days, an athlete would want a shoe deal, Nike, Adidas, or, you want a deal. Whereas now the trend, and, not for all, but the athlete's like, no, I'm the brand. This change of perception that you can create the micro brand around yourself. And look, do I think the Paul brothers are the be all and end all of great humans on earth? Possibly not. But Jake and Logan Paul have created brands around themselves through sheer force, right? Through sheer force and will. I'm not saying we should replicate them. Killian and Courtney have done it in a different way, but they are the brand. I don't imagine they went knocking, right? I don't think Courtney has to go knocking, right? Hey, do you want to know who I am? I'd love to get a brand deal. But that comes all the way up. Look, again, I'm obviously becoming a bit of a fanboy of Hans Troyer, right? Hans is creating his own brand. And what this LinkedIn post was saying is that a lot of businesses today are powered by brands, and then people can build their own micro brands, and then it's changed the economy. Don't go and ask a brand to sponsor. Become such a micro brand that they come to you. And, I work in sales, as you know, outside this, and I work in B2B tech sales, and it's even infiltrated us. Like there are B2B tech influencers. I don't know if you saw, but Deloitte's just employed a B2B tech influencer lady who is their tech influencer to influence people to come to Deloitte. The chairman of McKinsey in Asia now posts each time about what he's doing. John Gray from Blackstone is the CEO of Blackstone, posts running videos. He may have copied from me, just saying, John, hit me up, about how he's doing. So across the whole gambit, people are understanding that human story is the micro brand. And if you own it strong enough, brands have to pay you. You don't have to go back then.
No, for sure. I think it's true. I mean, there was one example also about Mr. Beast and doing Feastables and whatnot. I think overall, I would agree with you. I mean, I'm also in this game of telling stories, so I can't deny it with Lecker. But also, I do want to push back on a few more nuanced parts of this because you know this term of AI slob. You know this term, right? You just AI 100%. Create some AI slob.
100%.
And I also picking around Mr. Beast. Have you ever tried his chocolate? It's absolutely BS, and I think that's also, I'm not saying all of it, like New Normal from Killian is a great shoe brand, so it's, he's done a good job and the quality is good, everything. If you would have done some cheap shoe brand, okay, whatnot. But I also do think that because it's so easy now to launch brands, the quality of product can also be very, very bad. And anything can be produced now anywhere in the world, and it's super easy. But to keep it high quality for a long time is not easy. And I feel like influencers, many of them by nature, not the ones in trail running, because trail runners have more of an endurance mindset, but usually social media influencers have a very short-term mindset, and they just launch a brand, kick it into the market, don't care about quality, because they're so used to short-term engagement, short-term numbers, that it's maybe 1 or 2 years of something nice, and that dies again, right? I mean, I actually have hands-on experience with Feastables. I know someone who worked for them, and it was a horrible experience as inside the company as well. And yeah, so I think it's also always history will tell. I think right now we're in this like changing of brand environment that I truly agree with you. But let's talk again in 10 years time and see who survived. Because I mean, a Nike might have been a brand, but it wasn't. It was also from the beginning influencer driven, right? Nike was also certain people.
Of course.
Patagonia was also Yvon Chouinard, which influencer. So I do think that the brands who survive for a long time, they reinvent themselves consistently, but also have very good quality. Yeah.
Totally agreed. And you're right. There's no excuse for shitty products. Absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Totally agree. So Feastables chocolate, I've seen it. I've not brought it, but absolutely. But what I'm saying is that the person has the brand, right? The person inside them, they're not creating a product, a chocolate or a shoe. Their brand is intrinsic to them, and other brands like, Air Jordans. Nike were maybe the first one of this. If you watch the film, I don't know if the film is accurate.
Yeah.
What Nike said was, hey, we're not putting your name on a shoe. You are the shoe. Like it was, that idea that Jordan is the brand, right? You can create your own brand intrinsically with you, and then you're not building a product. Michael Jordan didn't make shoes. Nike made shoes and put his brand inside it, right? So I'm saying that athletes can use their storytelling, but to have brands come to them rather than them going, hello, can I be a sponsored athlete?
Yeah. I think I still believe that at the end of the day, it's all a business. And so they still have a business, and it's still about the people involved, the business. I do think if we're seeing a different form of business coming up in the future, like literally single people companies will, like Killian, good example, he partnered with Deckers and others to bring up the shoe brand. New Normal. It's not just him; it's a whole team behind it. But I do think I agree with you that we're more and more going direction of single people companies, whether it's in cryptocurrency based ones, tokenized ones. That will get there. But right now, it's still all about a company with a setup and people involved, there's a team involved. But yeah, anyway, it's interesting to see. Yeah. Alrighty, wrapping it up. We went all different directions here today. I'm sure that we all, as usual, have a drop from Ned to bring all this together.
Yes, we do. But I realize my glasses are just there. I have to go and get them, otherwise I can't read.
Yeah, that might be helpful. Okay.
And I'm back already by the power of magic. Here I am. Look at this. Hey, another thoughtful session on where our sport is going. But just to summarize it, these are changing times for our sports, and there is going to be shit going wrong, if I may say. Too many competitors or people not doing it the right way, and it's just a growing pain. Like, it's great to see so many people out and about. I mean, that UTMB in Chiang Mai, Chiang Mai race 10 years ago wouldn't have many people. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of people there, right? Like, it is. And one thing I would just say, the winners of those are getting proper airplay, and it's done properly. So it's great to see.
Yeah.
All right,
sure.
Let's go. All right. So this one is called Next. This one is inspired partly by, the endless search. So for what is next, what is the next race, what is the next thing to do? And partly by people who finish a race and like, oh, I don't know why I did that. And as you know, that's one of my ranting things. Never say you don't know. You're very privileged to be able to do this. All right, this one's called Next. Next. That's the thing. Maybe that's what we're all looking for. The minute you step over the line, you think, what's next? You shouldn't think, why did I do it? Because if you think, why did I do it? I don't think you should do it. You think, next. Next is, what is the next race? What is the next adventure? What is the next thing? Because as humans, we love the moment, but the next moment is what we're chasing. And that's the beauty of running. Every moment is real. It's here. It's just us. Running is the moment. Nothing else. Hard, not hard. Easy, not easy. Tired, not tired. Hungry, not hungry. Chafed, not chafed. But you want to do it again. And you want to do it again as soon as possible. Because what if there was no next? What if you couldn't run? That would be heartbreaking. We have to run. It's what we're for. Keep at it, keep running, keep next. What's next for me? Backyard. Against who? Against the man. Which man? That man. Where? Soon. And after that, I'm going to the land of fries and beer. Why? To get at large. If you know what at large means, you know. And if not that, Singapore. Wait, what? To beat Joshua? Yes. And then back to Laz. Laz, you're next. I'll see you in 2027. Ned.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank everyone for listening to an episode of the One More K podcast. We're excited to have you a part of our journey. Thank you, Ned. And see you next week.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. See you next week.